you'd ever want your rubber to fall off. Ever, ever, ever. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of LJ's Garage. I'm sitting in the old office here today, but I had the chance to check out the 2021 Ford Bronco, and not the little Bronco Sport, which that's a whole nother thing we'll talk about another time. Honestly, really impressed. I actually had them run some numbers and give me some pricing and everything and built one because I'm actually seriously considering a Bronco, and I've had a Wrangler, so there's a couple things that I wanted to point out and highlight and kind of give you guys some insight as to what my first impressions of the Bronco are, plus a couple of things that I didn't like. And a lot of that has to do with how Ford is actually packaging the Bronco, and I'll cover that towards the middle of the video. I think the styling is amazing, and I really did enjoy the way that Ford took that retro Bronco look and they kind of made it very modern. So it's just a nice little take on things. So let's just talk about some of the basics. So the Bronco comes in either the 2-door or the 4-door. It starts at about $29,000 for the base model. And this is where things kind of get interesting. The base model, once you start to add options, things kind of just go from here to here really fast. And that's why I don't really understand what Ford is trying to do. I think they're trying to push everyone to the higher trims, which makes sense. That's what they obviously want. But the thing is, a lot of the trims don't feel like they give you enough bang for your buck to really justify some of it. It is great that all Broncos come with 4-wheel drive, so that's not a problem. But the thing is, the $29,000 model is just for the 2-door. If you want to go 4-door base trim, that adds about another $4,000. So it is the extended wheelbase, and it is giving you another seat in the middle, so you can fit 5 people in there instead of just the usual like 4. But it's pretty pricey to go from the 2 to the 4-door. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. It might just be me. Maybe I'm just a cheapskate. The other thing is you get 2 engine options. You get a 2.3 liter 4-cylinder, and then you also get a 2.5 liter 6-cylinder. The 4-cylinder is actually not bad. It makes 300 horsepower and 325 foot-pounds of torque. Pretty reasonable numbers, I think, for a 4-cylinder. If anything, pretty impressive numbers for a 4-cylinder. As for the V6, you get 325 horsepower and 415 torque. Also pretty good for a small little 2.5 liter V6. And this is where my first problem comes up. You can only get the manual transmission, which a lot of us want, but you can only get the manual transmission with the 4-cylinder engine. Yep. I don't know, Ford. That's not... I get it. Manuals aren't that popular, so to make things worthwhile, you want people to go for the higher trims and avoid getting the manuals, and there's a lot of other things that come with that and how you package it, which I'm getting ready to start covering. Now, if you don't want the manual, you get the option of a 10-speed automatic transmission, and this is found in a lot of Ford models. It's a great transmission. I don't know how it's tuned. They won't open up test drives for the Bronco until the next couple weeks, and then I'll be able to take one on the road and see what I really think about it. I will say this, that the Bronco is providing some real competition for the Wrangler, and yes, they're the Jeep purists who actually might never jump ship, and that's fine. But the thing is, the Bronco is actually that great. So if you spec the Bronco to be an off-road machine, you'll get front, rear locking differentials, as well as a disconnecting sway bar. And on top of that, you get bead lock wheels. The thing is, this is my problem. Most people who buy these Wranglers will probably never take these things off-road. And it's the same thing with the Bronco, so I feel like a lot of that packaging is overkill. Really, most people just need all-wheel drive because they don't even know what 4 high, 4 low, all that stuff is. Most of these Broncos and the Wranglers, they're gonna be heading to the mall. They're gonna be heading to the grocery store. The next problem is that let's say you want to get marine interior on the Bronco as well as drain plugs. There are only 2 trims that offer you that option. You have to get either the Black Diamond or the Badlands to get the marine interior so things can actually get wet and then actually have drain plugs. That's crazy to me. Just 2 trims. It's not available on the others. What I also love is that Ford has spent so much time looking at the Wrangler. They fixed and addressed so many of the problems that Wrangler owners have, or just in general some of the common Jeep problems. The first thing is you remove the doors off of the Wrangler, and guess what? Your side mirrors go with it. Ford went ahead and they put the side mirrors attached to the right under the front windshield, so it's attached to the body itself, so you can take the doors off all you want. The next thing, they went ahead and they actually have just half doors basically, or frameless doors, So you've got these frameless windows, and it basically gives you a half door. So it subtracts weight, makes it really easy to pop them on and off. I've heard that this creates some problems when it comes to road noise and like wind noise, you know, driving down the highway, because if you have ever driven any cars with the frameless windows, that's kind of the problem, is it lets a little bit of wind in if things don't seal up right. I don't know if it's actually going to be a real problem, but it's something that on a lot of the sports cars you kind of see that happen, where there's just a little bit of wind noise that gets in. I've heard about the Bronco is that it's better on the road than the Wrangler. And from all of the different setups and everything that I've seen, I think that's going to be true. Now, again, I haven't had the chance to drive one, and I'm hoping that that is the case, because most of these Broncos and Wranglers, that's where they're going to live. Even if you do take them off-road, most of the time, unless you live in the middle of nowhere in the woods and you drive off-road every day to get to your cabin or whatever, your farm hidden in the wilderness, you're probably going to spend more time on the road than off the road. And Ford has learned all of those tips and tricks for a great off-roader, and a lot of people are going to enjoy that the Bronco is very capable. There's so many different configurations for the roof. They've got different panels, they've got different offerings. You can get the soft top with the little convertible, retractable thing. You could just take the soft top all the way off. You've got the half panels, you've got the just take everything off, and you've got the open air concept. It's just, I mean, it's well done. And if you want to argue that it's not, let's argue. I want to throw something else into the ring, and it's that Sasquatch package. That is an awesome package that gives you all of these off-road capabilities that I've described above, and on top of that, I want to discuss the beadlock wheels. Most people who drive regular cars don't even know what that beadlock wheel thing is all about. So I want to explain that a little bit. A beadlock wheel is, let's say you go off-road, what a lot of people do when you do off-road is you actually deflate the tire pressure a little bit, and so that way you get more surface area on the tire. It's a little flatter instead of rounder, so you can get more traction, right? But when you do that, if you go too low, you risk your tire falling off the rim. So beadlock wheels have a little metal thing. That's why you see all those rivets and bolts all the way around the outside. And so they basically pinch the tire between two pieces of metal, so it decreases the chance of you actually deflating your tires too much and having your rubber come off of the wheel. You never want your rubber to fall off. Ever, ever, ever. The next thing is that it's $2,000 price difference between the 4-cylinder and the V6. Seems worth it to me, but some people might argue that that's kind of silly, but it just depends. Another 30 horsepower and a little bit more torque. You still only can tow 3,500 pounds, which is right on par with the Wrangler. That's fair. And my next point, this upset me a little bit. So I understand this. If you want to get remote start, which is a feature I absolutely love, because I only want my all-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive vehicle really for the winter time, let's be real. But if you want remote start, you can't get it on the manual. Fair enough, Ford. So let me tell you my problem. If you don't want remote start, you're like, okay, let me build one of these, I'll get the manual, and I'll take the 4-cylinder, that's fine, but I won't get the remote start, but I still want like Ford Pilot 360, all of that stuff. I want the 360 cameras, I want backup assistant, I want the forward collision avoidance, I want all of that. Ford went ahead and they bundled the remote start as part of their mid-tier tech package, and if you don't get remote start, you don't get that package. So you can't have one without the other, which means if you want those things, you have to get the automatic. Yep. But why can't you just take off the remote start and give me all the fancy tech? I don't know. Just something I'm curious about. If you care about fuel economy, this might not be the ride for you. So if you get the 4-cylinder automatic, that's your best bet for fuel economy. And that's if you don't get the Sasquatch package with the upgraded wheels, 35-inch tires, all that stuff, you just avoid it. If you just do the regular wheels, regular setup, regular ride height, you'll be able to pull off 21, 22 on the highway. But if you get the larger wheels with the V6, you're probably looking at about 18 highway, and actually just around that for city, 17, 18, somewhere in that range. Not bad for city, considering it's basically a truck, but not the best for fuel economy at all. Something you just got to think about, because it is 2021 and gas prices are kind of higher than they usually are, which right now delivery on a Bronco, if you actually spec them out right, you're looking at about a year. That's what I was told today. So if you want a hardtop roof, that's something that's on back order. If you want the V6, that's a little bit harder to get right now. But if you want like a base trim with the 4-cylinder, soft top, those type of trims, pretty much you could get one of those within a couple months. But everything else, looking at about a year. Damn you, COVID. Damn you. The other problem that I love that Ford addressed is, let's say you want to just take your doors with you, or you decide, you know, on a trip you want to take the doors off. Whereas a lot of times you have problems fitting the doors inside of your Wrangler. You don't have that problem because you have frameless doors on the Bronco, so you can go ahead and actually fit all 4 doors in the back. I do like the soft top though, and my only problem is when I had a soft top on my Wrangler, it was just loud on the highway. I'm really impressed with the Bronco. I actually really liked the looks. I love the interior, even if it was just the base interior and it wasn't anything fancy. The cloth seats look good. Everything felt nice to touch. I love the little toggle switches at the top. I mean, really, everything on it was just fine for me. Jeep is gonna have a hard time with people falling in love with the Bronco. And it may not necessarily put a dent in their consumer base because it's a Jeep thing is always just gonna be it's a Jeep thing, and those people are always gonna exist. Just like you can tell a Miata driver that there are faster cars, they're still gonna love their Miata. And it's the same thing with the Jeep world. I mean, you love your Jeep, you love your Jeep. No one's gonna try to tell you otherwise. Well, we'll argue with you because there are better 4-wheel drive vehicles, there are better off-roaders, there's all sorts of things. But aftermarket on the Bronco is not as plentiful as it is for the Wrangler. And that's another thing to keep in mind is it's so new, it's a whole new platform, it's just brand new to the market, right? So if you want to compare and say, oh, you know, you could buy all these accessories and whatnot for the Jeep, yes, that's true. And hopefully soon the Bronco will have that. I already know you could get winches, you can get all sorts of different running boards, all of that stuff, but it's not really as plentiful as the Wrangler community has. And that's all I really got for you guys on the Bronco. I appreciate you checking out another video in LJ's Garage and let me, you know, talk your ear off about the Wrangler versus the Bronco thing. And hopefully once I get my hands on one and get to drive it a little bit more, I'll have some more insight to share with you guys. Till then though, be sure to hit that like button, comment button, subscribe button, all that good stuff. And I will see you on the next episode. Stay happy, stay sane, stay healthy.